Hi, I'm Tom, and this is my story. This is my chance to open up for the first time publicly about what I've been through. I felt I've wanted to do this for a while, um, so that people understand me more, people get what I've been through, because everyone's got a story. Mine's just a bit darker than others and not as dark as some. So I've written down some bullet points. It's quite a lot to cover. I'm going to keep this as chronological as I can. Everything on here is true to my memory. It's real, okay? So we're going to start off with my first memory, which is the gun threat. I was 5 years old, and Mum and Dad were arguing, as they always did, and my dad put a loaded revolver to my mum's head right in front of me. And I remember running outside to the car with my fingers in my ears. I didn't want to hear the shot, and I was convinced that my mum was going to die. And I did not move from that car until she came out and got me, and I knew it was okay. But yeah, I witnessed my mum with a gun to her head when I was 5 years old. Around this time, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I got put on medication for it. Now, obviously, at 5, I didn't know what the medication was. I was just told to take it. I got put on Ritalin, and I don't know how old I was, but I got rushed to hospital one day with a suspected heart attack. I just remember having stickers all over me, and basically my heart rate was through the roof. I had to stop taking it. Being choked unconscious. You're going to learn a lot about my mum today, and a lot of people know a lot of stuff about my dad, but I haven't spoken about my mum before. She picked me up by my throat. I must have only been 6. And she held me until I passed out by my throat. And when I collapsed on the steps and came back round, she went, "Ha, nice acting. You make me lose consciousness." Violent arguments, physical abuse, this happened throughout my childhood. Mum and Dad were always arguing, throwing things at each other. It was very loud, very aggressive. I'd just try and hide from it. I'd hide in the bedroom, or I just wouldn't want to be near it. I wasn't an easy kid. Obviously I'm autistic, I have ADHD. But I got the shit beaten out of me. We're in Cornwall once, and my dad, we were waiting for a ferry, I was in a car in hot weather. My dad got a stick from the hedge and starts whipping with it in the back seat, things like that. When I was 7, my sister came along, and I think, how old was I then? I'm not sure, but she got meningitis, pretty much nearly died, and we all had to say our goodbyes to her, and she survived. But this is where things went downhill for my dad. It really affected him. He started drinking more. I didn't really know what was going on. At this point I'm young. He started taking drugs. Mum and Dad both drank. My mum continues to drink today. But my dad was spiraling out of addiction. Spiraling downwards and taking drugs and stuff. And I was too young. I didn't know what drugs were. I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know. So this is, we're talking now, I'm in my teenage years probably. This is, but between the start and teenage years, I just think there's constant arguments, there's constant violence, constantly getting hit. I was scared of my parents. So then my dad used to go on a lot of drugged up rampages. And there was a time where he was foaming at the mouth. So my mum locked him outside, and he was trying to get through the front door with an axe and a sledgehammer. We were all inside, petrified of it. And my mum just didn't have any support. He was making suicide threats and stuff. And it was always, oh yeah, whatever, you're just looking for attention. You're looking for attention, that's what my mum said to him. Around the age of 12 to 13, I would be on the computer, not knowing at the time what I was going through. I was searching up painless ways to die, painless ways to kill yourself. And suddenly as I got older, I realised that I was heavily, heavily depressed. Yeah, I was put on antipsychotics, antidepressants and stuff as well. But There was no. I would also delete my history. I wouldn't let them know that I've been looking stuff. I'd delete my browser history so that no one would know. But I was ready to die, basically. Then came my dad's first suicide attempt. He took a petrol strimmer to the car, started it up and left it running. He was trying to kill himself with carbon monoxide poisoning. And I could see it happening. I said, "Mum, what do we do? What do we do?" And she said, "Leave him to it." And I've never got over that. Where was your support? Where was your help for him? Why would you leave him to try and kill himself? And then there was a note on the mantelpiece that simply said, "You drove me to it." The older I get, the more I understand why he wrote that. So yeah. Also, my dad was heavily into addiction and stuff and drinking, and my mum just went, "Oh, there was no support, there was no offer of help." My dad didn't want help, in fairness, you know, he was deep in addiction. But there was a complete lack of understanding and support from my mum, where addiction to me, I've had my own spell with drugs, but we'll get onto that. There's a cause behind it, you know, you've got to heal them wounds, and that's how you get out of addiction, I guess. But I think I was around 13 with this attempt, by the way, and then came up my autism diagnosis. Now, my mum always pushed to get the diagnosis, which is fine, you know, I don't care, but it became a money thing for her. My autism was suddenly an advantage to her, and rather than trying to understand me, she was always trying to cure me, if that makes sense. Okay, so I got the autism diagnosis and I moved to a special school because I wasn't dealing with the mainstream. I was very aggressive, very violent. But then, what was I around? What were my surroundings like? This cat's doing my head in. You know, I grew up with a violent dad that beat everyone up. So what did I do? Someone annoyed me, I just hit him. So I didn't cope with the mainstream. I got put in a special school. Around a week or two after this, I'm at my friend's house playing cricket in the garden, and my sister comes around and goes, Thomas, you need to come home. Actually, hang on, no. So there was another violent outburst from my dad, where whether drink or drugs, whatever were involved, he punched my mum. My sister stood up to him, and he punched her as well. I mean, he hit them. I ran upstairs, called the police. He's done it. Another runner, police helicopters up, everything. He's hiding under a bridge. We got taken to a hotel for our own safety. My mum, me, and my two sisters got put in a hotel for our own safety. We're 14 at this time, by the way. I'm 14, sorry. They got him and bailed into a friend's address. And I'm at my friend's house playing cricket in the garden, and my sister comes around, Thomas, Dad's hung himself, we need to go, he's hung himself. And he kept threatening suicide, you know. He threatened to blow his brains out with a shotgun cartridge. We had tripwires in the garden with shotgun shells, so it would make a bang if anyone came, like alarm guns. So don't ask. Yeah. So I found out he'd hung himself. We got straight to hospital, and I saw him with like a cold suit on, keeps temperature down, a mark here, and he was just having fits. He was having seizures, and that's the last time I ever saw my dad. This is on the 26th of April, 2011. On the 28th, I found out he'd died. They managed to keep him alive for 2 days, but he died. And this was hard, you know, that was one of the hardest things I've ever been through, dealing with a death of your dad at a young age, particularly suicide. People already know a lot about that. So, I'm not sure how long after it was, but I think within a year my mum was dating more people, using dating sites. But if I walked in the kitchen, she'd click off it really quickly, close the tab so I didn't see what she was doing, but I saw her on Plenty of Fish a lot, you know, I saw it, I'm not stupid. The house became such a state. Like what you see on hoarding programs, it was like that. It was absolutely disgusting. You couldn't sit at the table. And I was just a kid. I weren't cleaning it. Do you know what I mean? I went to school, went to college. I had a job. My mum didn't. Since my sister had meningitis, she became a carer. but she milked it so much. Like, she didn't need the care that my mum claimed she needed. My mum now is a florist part-time, but very much ran away with a rich man and lives a very lavish lifestyle. That's like such a snob off someone else's money. So yeah, she started dating, met a couple of people, and then she met Lee. Now, I don't personally have a problem with Lee, but everyone that's met him agrees that he's one of the most awkward characters going. My mum's personality and his personality just do not match. And I honestly believe she's with him for the money. Okay, now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's my personal belief. Like, she's with him because he brings money to the table and she can live a luxury lifestyle off him. That's the way I see it. If Mum, if you're seeing this, this is how I really feel about you, by the way. So yeah, she met Lee. Started going away at the weekends. It seemed like I could never do anything right. You know, if I didn't do the cleaning, if I didn't do the washing up, she'd punish me. So one day she took the Wi-Fi away with her, so I couldn't even play my Xbox at the weekend. She just shouted at me and screamed at me. I was terrified of my mum. It got to a point where I rang Childline. I think I was around 15, 16. I rang Childline. I was like, I need to get out of here. And she grabbed the phone off me. And her words were, he's autistic, he hasn't got a clue what he's on about. And hung up. Now, yeah, I'm autistic. Does that mean I'm fake? Does that mean I'm stupid? It was always made out to feel like I was lying about my trauma. I was lying about what she did. And that everything I'd said was made up. All these things I'm saying now are just made up in my head. They're fucking not. The house became such a state. Such a state. It got to a point, Christmases, I was left on my own. I got given a crate of beers and a fuck you, basically. Happy Christmas, I'll see you in over a week, maybe 2 weeks on my own. I very much raised myself from the ages of 16 onwards, because when my dad died, I didn't have my mum. I didn't have her. That's why I don't have much family now. I'll get into that more as well. So the death of my dad split the family massively. My grandparents on my dad's side don't bother with me. I don't bother with them. I don't have any connection to my dad's side at all anymore. My cousins, I don't personally have a problem with, but they don't really speak to me. Yeah, anyway, get further in. We got told we have to move out of this house. And to this day, my mum tells me that the landlord had cancer, and therefore she was selling the houses. But the guy next door to us was safe, even though he rented off the same person. And I've been back to Shropshire a few times, and I've seen that landlord driving around still. So a cancer either hasn't existed, or she got over it. I'm convinced to this day that we got evicted because of the state of the house. It was disgusting. I was embarrassed to have people around. I didn't have friends around. I wouldn't let people in because it was so embarrassing, the state of how bad it was. So anyway, we got told we had to move out. Moved to Chorley, and I'm 20 at this point, and I started seeing a girl, and I brought her around for the weekend, and Mum and Lee were there. Lee started coming to the house in Chorley because it wasn't disgusting, you see. So Mum used to go to Liverpool all the time from Shropshire because our house was minging. When we moved house, fresh start, Lee started coming here. So we're upstairs chilling in the bedroom, and I'm 20, okay? I had to keep my bedroom door open. And Lee was in the bedroom next door to us, listening to our conversations and butting into them. And if that isn't control, I don't know what is. Then I met Kate. We won't go into that as such, okay, because it wasn't a good relationship, whatever. But this was my chance. Home life got so bad. It was always arguing. Mum was drinking all the time. I wanted out. After a month of knowing her, I moved out. I didn't tell her I was going. I just packed my shit on a Friday, and I was gone. Where are we up to? Right, so moved out because it's so bad. Okay, so my mental health started deteriorating pretty badly. I was farming in Kirkham, and I was feeling pretty shit. To the point I had my suicide planned. There was a barn with straw bales, and they had pigs, and they had this bolt gun that they'd used to shoot the pig. I won't go into that too much because it's a bit gruesome, but I was going to climb up to the top of this shed and tie a rope to the beam, hang off, and use the gun to So either the shot would kill me or the rope would finish me off. And this was planned. I didn't know when, but I knew where and I knew how. I rang my mum. I said, Mum, you know, I'm having these really dark thoughts. This is what I've got planned. And she turned around to me and said, "You're just like your dad, looking for attention." How the fuck can you say that? How can you say that to someone when he literally killed himself? You think it's attention? I'm reaching out for help, man. At this point, I cut her off. I blocked her contact. I didn't speak to her for 18 months. The only reason I got back in contact, I had a motorbike that got pushed over and I needed some money for my excess and I was stuck. So I was like, fuck it, you know, let's try and rebuild something with my mum. Got back in touch and I tried to rebuild this connection. I tried talking to her quite often about the things that she'd done in the past and things that haunt me, and it was just never her fault. She'd never done anything wrong, you know. It was like I'd almost made it all up, and I was just made to feel like a dickhead, basically. So, 26th of March 2021, my mum turns 50. I'm at work, normal day at work, and I had the big accident where I broke 6 bones. Let me tell you, that changed my life. That changed my life massively. We're talking 5.5 months off work, broken back. I broke up with Kate not long after too. My mum was quite supportive through this. You know, she was help through this. I can't deny that. You know, she took me shopping, she helped me out, and I'll always respect that. I'll always thank her for that. It's about doing a decent thing you've actually fucking done for me. I started taking LSD and smoking weed. Now, LSD for me was fucking amazing. You know, it was this cartoony world. I didn't feel any physical pain, so I've got a broken back, broken leg. Doesn't hurt. I was taking it every few days, man. I was like, acid tap for breakfast. I don't feel any pain for the day. I'm not feeling any thoughts. I'm just away with the fairies. This very quickly became a problem. My boss had still made breakfast. I lived on the farm at this point. My boss had made me breakfast, and one morning I took an acid tab, and I'd forgotten I was going for breakfast, and I'm sat eating this butty, and it's all moving, and I'm sat with my boss, and I'm tripping balls, and that's not something you want to be doing. But you know, I didn't realise I was spiralling out of control. I was starting to spiral into addiction myself. Started smoking a lot of weed, and I started having flashbacks after the accident. I'd see myself falling in the cage. I'd see the gun threat. I'd see my dad on his deathbed. Eyes closed or eyes open. I'd just lose grip of reality for a minute, and I'd be in that moment. And to me, the drugs were a way to stop that. You know, I'd have a joint, I'd feel alright, or I'd have a bong. It got to a point I wasn't doing anything without weed. It got to a point where one day I'm at work, I'm on my break, and I'm like, might have half a pill, might have half an ecstasy pill. And I didn't do it, but that's when I realised I'm spiralling. No, actually before this, before I went back to work, I've got some magic mushrooms, quite a lot of them, and I had them all. And let me tell you, that was a life-changing trip. It turned me around. I was like, if I don't get help soon, I'm going to die. I need help for my flashbacks, I need help for my PTSD and what I've been through, the trauma had all resurfaced from childhood. But my drugs didn't stop there, you know. It was like, oh, I'm done, I'm not doing drugs anymore. It's not as easy as that. So then I'll go back to work, and I'm smoking weed heavily, and getting home from work, and I'm having bong after bong after bong, and I'm next door to my boss. You know, he can smell it, he knows what's going on, and that wasn't enough to stop me. Like I say, at work, I was tempted to take pills, I was tempted to take mushrooms, I was bad. I wrote a song. I wrote Memories. You may have heard it. And that's basically about what I was experiencing. That's about the flashbacks of trauma. And I've written a few more songs. I'll get into one of them at the end, one that I've recently written. So it comes to a point, and I said to my boss, by the way, after the accident, what happens if I claim? And he said, you'll have to find a new place to live and a new job. So I felt very much stuck there. My depression got so bad, PTSD got so bad, that it was either I move out and rebuild my life, or I die. A friend, Kieran, messaged me one day saying, how you coping? And he got the message back saying, I'm not. And then he tried ringing me, I wouldn't answer it, and then Caleb rang me. And I knew I had to answer to Caleb. I was ready to do it. And Caleb and Kieran, you pulled me out of that. And I'm forever grateful, because I'm still here. Somehow. So yeah, I met Erica, and her mum let me move in with her. And do you know what's crazy is my mum always said that I would never be welcome back at her house. And after everything I was going through, I still wasn't welcome back at her house. But I was welcome at Erica's mum's house. So I moved in there, rebuilt my life. So we bought the house, got a house, you know, we've got a positive future, got engaged. But this is where my mum fucks up again. At the engagement part, she knew I was going to pop the question. And all day it was, oh, when are you doing it? We need to get off, we need to get off. And I thought, oh, it's got something important. So I had a little bit of a speech prepared. That went out the window. I flopped it all. Still popped the question. She gave me a hug, and they went off. I found out that she left me to go for an Indian meal with one of Lee's clients from work. And yet again, Lee came before me. Now Sarah, Erica's mum, she celebrated with us all day, all night. Yeah, why can't mum stay for a couple of hours afterwards and just cancel her other plans and put me first for once? And it hurt. And it was the Monday at work that it hurt, and I broke down. I was in a ball of tears. I confronted my mum, and I told her straight about what I've just spoke about, and I cut her off again. And this is where we're at now. I cut her off back in June, but recently I've applied for more therapy to speak about my mum's side and more. I've spoke about my dad's, I spoke about the work accident, but I've never opened up about my mum before, and what you did, and the way you treat mental health and continue to treat mental health. I've seen her in my dreams a lot. I've had a lot of recurring dreams of, I think I miss my family, in a sense. I've got my sister and her husband, they're fantastic, and I've got my mum's parents, they're absolutely fantastic. I love them all to bits. That is the only family I have connection with. I do not speak to my younger sister for personal reasons. I don't speak to my dad's side for personal reasons. But yeah, I keep having dreams where my mum's talking to me. I'll be out in public and she'll just be there. Or I'll be somewhere, she's just there trying to talk to me. And it puts me in a really bad mood the next day. And I wrote another song about that recently called Haunted Dreams. It's like, when I breathe, I can't sleep, you still haunt me in my dreams. I want that one performing at some point. So if there's any musicians or anything out here watching this, I don't know if it'll reach anyone. Get in touch. Let's get that made. I really want to have that made. But yeah, so I've got more therapy soon. That's going to be in the new year. I've got a 14-week waiting list. That's going to be in the new year, I think. I'm taking positive steps to improve myself and work on my future, my family, and build my own family, you know. But I just felt I needed to really talk about all of this because not a lot of people know this about me. Like I say, everyone's got a story. Thank you for listening to mine.